everybody, I'm Sarah and I'm a recorder player. We already know that recorders come in different sizes, the soprano in C, the alto in F, but what about the notes in between? Spoiler alert, and yeah, the point of this video, yes. Today I'm going to talk about the fourth flute, a soprano recorder in B flat, and the sixth flute, a recorder in D. They're more unfamiliar but beautiful additions to the recorder family. I travelled all the way up north to Friesland to visit recorder builder Tom de Vries. Tom had not only built beautiful handmade fourth flutes and sixth flutes, but recorders in all of the semitones in between. And spoiler alert, yes, I did buy 2 of them. So without further ado, let's go to Friesland. Tom, welcome. Can you please tell me what we have here today?
These 2 are sixth flutes and this is a fourth flute. And then I decided to fill all the gaps in between. So we have a sixth flute 415, then a C soprano 440, then 3 C sopranos in 415, then a C soprano in 392. It can also be a fourth flute in 440, and then finally the fourth flute in 415.
Wow.
So it's for each semitone we have now a recorder.
A recorder. Let's hear that difference now. Let's start off with the sixth flutes.
The terms sixth flute, fourth flute, they're English terms used in the Baroque period in England. So then it starts with the first flute, and that's a normal alto in F. So there's the second flute, which is an alto in G. And then the third flute is the alto in A. Then fourth flute is a soprano in B flat. And then the fifth flute is our normal soprano. Sixth flute is a soprano in D.
Wow.
And then you can have, I don't know if there has ever been a seventh flute. And then the sopranino in F is the octave flute.
A nerdy question. Do surviving instruments exist of
Yes.
all these sizes?
Yeah, I think all across Europe there are in-between recorders. There's an A alto by Robert Weine. There's several D sopranos by Dutch makers, by German makers. Everywhere these in-between models have existed, but in England they had a name for them. What's special is that they also had music for them. That's why we call them that, because there's been music specifically written for the sixth flute and for the fourth flute.
And what pieces of composers are we talking?
Well, for the fourth flute there's 2 suites by Dieupart. Peter Bresson, the recorder maker, also published music, and he published the suites by Dieupart. They had a sort of collaboration. I imagine Dieupart said, oh, you have these weird instruments like a voice flute and a fourth flute, let me write some music for them.
So they would help each other to sell their recorders and sell their music. So these were chamber music instruments?
The fourth flute, yes. The sixth flute is a concerto instrument. There's been concertos written for the London music scene that were written for the sixth flute by Woodcock, Baston, and what's the third called? Babel. These were virtuoso recorder players, probably played in the orchestras that played the Handel operas. They usually played oboe, violin, bassoon and recorder. They were multi-instrumentalists, but some excelled on the recorder, and for them these virtuoso concertos were written for the sixth flute.
At this point I'm going to point out Ensemble Odyssey, led by recorder player Anna Stegman, have recently made a beautiful CD of English concertos, so I'll link that in the description. That's interesting that fourth flute was more chamber music and then this was more solo instrument. Do you hear that in the sound of the recorder?
Yes. I think even though they are only one tone removed from a normal soprano, either lower or higher, the sound is very different. I think the fourth flute has a lot of alto-like qualities to it. It sounds a little bit darker and fuller, and the sixth flute has more sopranino-like qualities to it. It has that really cheerful, bird-like sound.
So did you base these designs on historical models or you invented them?
The fourth flute, I think there's only one surviving by Bresson, and that's the one I used as an example. It has been shortened somewhere along its life, so I had to make it a little bit longer. You can see here that the foot has been shortened. The proportions are not right for what is normal for Bresson.
Why would that have been?
Because pitches went up along the 18th century. In Mozart's time it was around 430 hertz. Wow. They probably, in order to be able to keep using it, had to make the pitch higher.
So the owner of this recorder literally went...
Yeah, and then I had to adjust the fingerhole positions. It doesn't quite work with modern fingering because then the F octave was too low. So I had to place this hole lower and make it larger.
How many middle joints did it cost you to figure this out?
About 3.
Then the sixth flutes, were they also based upon drawings?
Yeah, the sixth flute is based on... This is the drawing by Fred Morgan. It's the very elaborately decorated ivory sixth flute from the Frans Bruggen collection. Fully, completely in ivory.
Solid
and
ivory.
Everything has been carved.
Do you know who made it and who owned it?
The maker is Thomas Stainsby Jr.
So from these fantastic drawings you could take all the measurements and follow them?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we know exactly to the 100th millimeter what the dimensions are. And then again, fingerhole positions you need to change to make it playable with modern fingerings.
Yeah, you said we need to change to play it with modern fingerings.
Yeah,
but
we don't need to, but I have to sell recorders. And
yeah, that's important. But what would the original fingerings have been?
More like a Renaissance fingering. The flats and the sharps are also different. It makes the sound a little bit more, perhaps delicate. You can tell that they were quite good players in that time to play these virtuosic concertos with these half leaked and everything. Yeah, I think the CD by Anna Stegman, I think she used a sixth flute with original fingering.
I will ask her for this video. The answer, Anna, did you use a sixth flute with original fingering is... Yeah! This is getting a bit away from the topic of fourths and sixth flutes, but it's so interesting that we have all the in-betweens.
Yeah.
Where did you take these dimensions from?
I've searched a lot for a good 415 soprano, normal soprano, and 440. And there's a lot of Dutch sopranos that are in 2 pieces, so the foot is attached to the middle joints. We get a very clear and delicate sound, but I wanted something that is a bit more robust with the good solid low notes and that you can play more expressive. So I decided to take the strings B6 flute, which has a wide bore at the bottom, and enlarge it proportionally to 440 soprano and the 415 soprano. So these are all from this instrument.
Oh, wow, okay. Does it work to just scale up the measurements?
Yeah. You have to know what you're doing, of course, but...
I would not know what I was doing. And then for you as a recorder maker, you have the historical models and how they would have been built, how they would have sounded. Do you also have your own sound ideal when you're making recorders?
Yes and no. Personally, I like to have some space. I'm not so limited. And what you usually get with factory instruments, that you have to blow like this and then it's good. But if you try to use more air or less air, you get limited. So with handmade instruments, my goal is to remove some of the limits. Factory instruments this is the sound you can make, and with my instruments, this is the sound you can make.
Wow, okay.
And then personally, I like it to be full and round and not squeaky.
Still, I loved how when I tried all of these, there was still so much difference in them.
Yeah, that's what I like. I don't want to make something that's the same.
Yeah.
So I sometimes use different woods, such as this sixth flute is cocobolo wood. It's a tropical hardwood that I was given a very nice piece by a retired colleague. And then this is olive wood, which has totally different sound again.
Yeah, it's very light.
Yeah, both the weight is light and the sound is light. It's very cheerful. And so that's a little bit of experimentation with sound and with woods and colors. That's what I like.
Beautiful. What I hear from the sound, it's really mellow and round and very deep. It has a lot of depth to it, but it still has this kind of singing edge on top.
It's still a soprano, but it has that lightness, but it gets a little bit darker in the sound. Yeah.
Would there have been fourth flute and sixth flute equivalents in Renaissance recorders?
Yeah, a soprano in D.
Oh yeah.
Is a normal thing.
Yeah. So this was a journey into the wonderful world of fourth flutes and sixth flutes, and then everything in between. I can imagine that you really want to hear some more examples of fourth flutes and sixth flutes in action, so I've made a little Spotify playlist that I'm going to put in the description that you can check out, as well as the link to Tom's website where you can see all of the recorders he makes, and if you're on the lookout for a handmade instrument, check it out. As always, you can subscribe to my channel by clicking on my face down here. Over here is the Team Recorder web shop where you can find lots of wonderful things, and here's a couple more videos. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye!
Bye!